the rental car reservation's real, the airline ticket's real. You fly out there, you land.
Mm-hmm.
What happens next?
You get another phone call that says, "Hey, did you get in safe?" And then they tell you the address for where you're supposed to show up the next day. And then you go. It's a nondescript building, and you walk in. And for me, I walked in. There were 10 or so other people in the waiting room. None of us really knew what we were there for. We all knew that we were there for something related to a government job. Everybody's dressed essentially the same way, and you find out that this person's in finance and that lady came from social work and whatever else it might be. And then you eventually somebody comes out and calls you into a room, and then you go through what we call the first round of interviews. And it's just kind of like a fit to see what you're interested in, what you're not interested in, et cetera. And it was at the end of that first interview that the lady said to me that I might be a good fit for the National Clandestine Service at CIA, which I didn't know what that was at the time. And then she basically broke it down, and she was just like you and I did at the beginning of this conversation. She was like, essentially, we want you to be a field officer, or what you might know from the movies as a spy. And of course, for me, my 7-year-old self was like, I'm going to be a what? Like, you want me to be a spy? You want me to like drive fancy cars and wear tuxedos and always have a beautiful woman on my side? Like, sign me up for that. I mean, starving children in Africa can wait. I want to do that. But then, of course, comes the byline afterwards where she's like, you can't tell anybody that this is what you're now applying for. We're going to move you on to the second phase of interviews. We need you to, go back to your hotel and go back to Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana and live your normal life. And if anybody asks you why you're out here, just tell them that you came out here applying for a government position and you don't know whether or not you're going to get it. And in the meantime, we'll be in touch.
And then they get in touch again.
And then you go through multiple more rounds of interviews. So they fly you usually back to the DC area, and then the interviews just get kind of more intense. You go from a fit interview to a kind of like a test, like a interview that's more of like a test with somebody else. They ask you scenario-based questions. They give you puzzles. They ask you some light psychological